Sometimes this truth isn't as straightforward as it might seem at first. Sometimes it is. And that's when the gaslighting starts. When the truth is less convenient than the narrative we want or need others to believe, our only recourse is to deny everything, admit nothing, and make counter accusations. And I think I've seen that a lot recently, not just on the national news, but in some of my social circles as well. And I think that it's extremely important now, more so than in my entire life, as I've witnessed it, that we keep focusing on the truth and not allow dishonest, bad faith actors to rewrite the narrative in accordance with their own best interest. This is Truth Wanted, and we've never stopped wanting the truth. So give us a call, because the 9th season of the show is starting right now. Hello, and welcome to another season of Truth Wanted. I'm your host, Eli Slack, and every week, and this is the live call-in show that happens every single week, Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time, where we talk to people about what they believe and why. And if you'd like to call us, you can at 512-991-9242 or through your computer at tiny.cc/calltw. Truth Wanted is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. Every week we have a special guest, and this week obviously is different because I'm not Dan or Kelly, but give it 30 years. But we do have a special guest, and that is one of my best friends, Tracy Wilbert. Tracy, how are you?
I'm as well as I can be, considering.
Yeah. Actually, I think it's a really tough week to be doing a show like this. I know it Dan he wishes that he could be here. I'm not sure why he can't, but
I wish Dan could be here, frankly.
Yeah, I feel like he'd do a lot better. But
when I agreed to do this show, I didn't know everything that was going to happen. So now I'm a little nervous. But
thank you, by the way. I appreciate you stepping up to fill in. Kelly, of course, is going to be here, but had a little bit of internet trouble. So Tracy has been available to help us out today. I mean, there's a lot, like we've said, that's been going on this week. This week, this month, this year, this time. But there are some of those things that we can talk about on this particular show, and some we can't. What are some things you'd like for us to like? What do you want some people to call us about? What do you want to?
Let's talk about aliens, and barring aliens, and by aliens I mean extraterrestrial life, or me and Eli and I were shooting the crap about something called the bicameral mind. I know very little about it. I don't know. Eli, did you read that book?
I did not read the book. I got some information from Richard Gilliver via AJ.
Oh, okay.
But the bicameral mind, of course, the consciousness hypothesis that came around in like the 70s or 80s. And purports that ancient humans had a different structure to their consciousness, as I understand it. And it was one in which they perceived their internal, like their inside voice, their thoughts, as an external voice of the gods or some divine, some other entity. Like that's the hypothesis, is that they didn't recognize their inner voice as their own, as themselves.
Yeah. And so that'd be an interesting thing to talk about. It would almost be easier to come up with a list of things I don't want to talk about, but then I'm going to be afraid that I'm going to be giving people ideas. So yeah, that's all that's going on in my life. I got a whole bunch of nothing going on except for all the things I'm seeing happening in cities that aren't mine. Something happened in St. Louis. There's apparently monkeys loose in my city right now, which is fun. Got all my windows locked down.
Like out of the zoo?
No, not out of the zoo. The zoo's monkeys are accounted for.
Where else in in your city or in your state do they keep
Don't ask.
monkeys?
Hey, if you ask within the state, there's tons of places.
That's fair. Are there?
Because oh yeah, dude, when Tiger King was doing all their videos and stuff, they were going all over Missouri. We got a whole bunch of exotic animal traders and stuff here. I don't think you quite realize the lawless wasteland that is Missouri.
Yeah, you know what? You get down like below the southern like 1/3 of the state, and like, yeah,
it becomes a whole other thing. It's the hill country, man. They do whatever they want down there. But there's monkeys here in the city loose. Well, apparently somebody was breeding or had them as pets or some sort of something. Anyway,
insane.
Throw me a raft. I'm drowning over here.
That's insane. So we do have some calls coming in, and we are going to get to those. But before we take our first call, we want to give you the results of last week's We Want the Truth segment, or WWTT. Let us get our backup host, Laser, up here to go over these with us.
Go, Laser.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for bringing me up.
Laser.
Thanks for backing us up.
Last week we had 3 top entries. We had from Chuck Gaidos, my resolution to double my kids' college fund in the New Year's Day poker game is being questioned by some family members. Okay.
Fair enough, though. I would question that too.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we can talk, Gaidos. Mark Allen, I think the least likely New Year's resolution to be kept by theists and atheists is to read the Bible more. Well, from the atheist side, I can go ahead and say, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. That's not my resolution. No,
it's very, very difficult.
My resolution has to do with going to the gym. Like,
it's not a fun read.
It isn't. It's not.
The opposite.
And then finally we got Matt TK, whose resolution most likely to fail. I will cut back on my ACA watching, and absolutely, let's all give him a round of applause. We can all support that. Thank you very much.
Heck yeah! Is Matt here in the chat right now? He's not doing a great job of not failing that one if he isn't. Awesome. Well, thanks, Laser, for that. We appreciate it. Do you have the prompt for next week that we can advise?
Yeah, of course. I'm pretty excited about this one. I think it's got a lot of potential, so I can't wait to hear what the community weighs in with. So here's the prompt for next week. What is the worst lie you were caught in? That's gonna be gold. I can't wait to hear it. Let's hear it. Thank you so much.
Do you have an answer?
You have an answer, Laser?
Worst lie I was ever caught in was when I had literally just finished eating the rest of the cake that was left in the refrigerator, and like had frosting like just right here. And like my parents were like, "Hey, did you eat the last of the cake?" And I was like, "No." And they were like, I don't know, man. There's like one plate and one fork and also frosting. Like the evidence is stacking up.
Looks a lot like you did.
What about you?
There's one time I was in like maybe like 6th to 9th grade, sometime around there. And in the gym locker room, I opened someone else's locker and he had like $1.67 on the bottom line. I was like, I'm going to take it. And I said that out loud, and like people were there and they watched me do it, and I put it in my pocket. And then like they told him, which they should have done, obviously. And I just never admitted it. I was like, I look back at it now, I'm like, Drew, I'm sorry. But at the time I was like, it was one of those things where I was like, oh, like I can't just admit that I was wrong and give it back to him because then I'll get in trouble. So I have to find a way to give it back to him without admitting that I was wrong. And I was like, well, I'll give it back to you so this will be over with. But I didn't take it. Here's the exact amount of money you're missing.
I just happened to also have this. The worst lie I ever got caught in was when I'd started my first job. I was 16 years old. I was working at Starbucks, and I didn't know the proper strategy for calling in sick. And I didn't know what was an appropriate temperature for a fever. So I gave 103. And like while I was on the phone with my manager at the time, his name was Dave. He was like, "Well, Tracy, I think you should go to the hospital." And I was like, "No, I don't think it's that serious."
Okay, well then maybe come into work, Tracy.
It's like,
Yeah.
I think it's more serious than that. We're right in that perfect
It's a sweet spot.
zone. Yeah.
I just need to sleep it off for a couple days.
That was the
back
worst
next
lie
week.
I ever got caught in. But
Awesome.
yeah.
Those are good answers. I can't wait to see what we get in the comments. So someone, Dan or Kelly, can read them off next week.
Yeah.
Laser, thanks. Appreciate you backing us up today, man.
Leave me,
thanks,
Laser.
of course.
All right. Excellent. So it is time for us to get to some calls here. But before we do, we need to give a shout out to our patron of the week. Every single week, we shout out to a patron that donates through tiny.cc/patrontw for supporting the show. This week's patron of the week is, drumroll please, Kalevi Helveti. Thank you, Kalevi Helveti, and to everyone else who contributes to the show. We do appreciate it. I don't see that money. Tracy didn't see that money. Laser didn't see that money. That is for the nonprofit. So thank you, Kalevi Helveti, and thank you to everybody else who donates. So now, Tracy, we have there. All of the ado is done. It's done.
Okay.
And now it's time to get to some calls.
Are we going to have any further?
There may be further ado.
Okay.
But not right now. So we're going to start with Michelle, she, her, calling from New York. And the topic here says creating and building a better way and society without
Hey, you
God.
see the chat?
I do not.
Video
Stand
Ninja
by.
chat.
Okay. Oh, just kidding. Caller is not ready. I apologize. That's my mistake. I'm new here. So, but that.
So let's talk
the
about
idea
veganism,
here,
Eli. No, go ahead. What's the idea here?
Yeah, the idea here is, and I don't want to get too much into the weeds without Michelle on the line to sort of justify her position, but it's to building a better community, like society without God. Like that's one of the things that I've sort of wanted to start making more of a point to talk about publicly. Like what are the secular ideas we can replace religious dogma with to reconstruct the things we're deconstructing, and there's not. It becomes difficult because there's not one monolithic set of beliefs that we can all just be like, oh, this is what I believe now. It comes down to the critical thinking and the evidence analysis and being able to understand things for yourself. I don't know. Do you have thoughts on that?
I don't think I think with a lot of these topics where people are like building a healthy community or a happy community or whatever the phraseology was without God is like trying to build a healthy body without pathogens.
God.
And like without pathogens. It's not doing anything. I mean, it may have served a point at some point, but all of the things that are working aren't working because of the pathogens. They're working in spite of the pathogens. So I don't really see how it's that big of a problem. But let's jump in. I think Michelle's feeling a little bit more better, and maybe she can give us a better idea of what she means.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and bring in Michelle. And Michelle, I don't know if you could hear us. Have we kind of strayed too far afield of what you want to talk about, or what were your thoughts regarding this?
Yeah, who's speaking at the moment?
Yeah, this is Eli. You're on Truth Wanted with Eli and Tracy. Oop, I don't hear you now. Let me. Looks like you got dropped back down to the queue. Okay, I should be able to hear you now.
Okay, fantastic.
There we go. Thanks.
Eli,
Sorry about that.
Eli, can you hear me?
I do.
Fantastic. And I think, I'm sorry, who's the guest host? Because it said that Kelly was hosting earlier, and then it switched to some last name of the name of Wilbert. What's your first name, sir?
Tracy.
Tracy, okay. May I address you as such?
I hope you do, in fact.
Fantastic. So the subject, what do you guys, do you guys want me to lay out the subject in verse, or shall I ask it in the form of a question and let you guys roll with that first?
Well, so I see on the, the information I have here says, is this an accurate description of kind of where you're going? You want to discuss God as a villain and God as unnecessary for, and it got cut off there, but I guess share your thoughts with us. And then if you do have a question, end it with that, and then we'll start the conversation there.
Love it.
Sure thing. So I've long since I went through deconstruction and deconstructions of Christianity and that faith, and not to mention other faiths. And there are many parts of deconstruction, I think, that, and I know I might be getting a little off topic, but I think this will be, this is apropos. There are many kinds of deconstruction. There's deconstruction from the religion. There's deconstruction from faith. There's deconstruction from hope. There's deconstruction from every value and every virtue and every modality of how you want to look at ethics and morality in ways that you can or don't or can't live your life. I mean, you can deconstruct for each one of those things, which is why deconstruction can take a lifetime. Not to mention you have to deconstruct from the trauma and then even the triggers if you want to get away from those. But what I wanted to really shed some light on tonight is, gentlemen, is can we build a greater, not just equal society to societies that have had religion or do have religion and faith? I'm talking about, can we build something greater that says, even if some of us, yes, while some of us would say that we don't believe in a God and we haven't seen evidence for him, and there's also those of us who may say there may be a God and there may not be a God, but we can do something greater without that God if it exists. We can build a greater and a bigger society.
I think I agree with you by and large. I've said myself, I consider myself a anti-theist to a degree, because I feel that religion by and large does more harm than it does. It does more novel harm than it does novel good. And I don't think there is any novel good from religion. I don't think there's any benefit that it provides us that we can't get from some secular means. So I would say, I think generally a society without dogmatic beliefs in general, not just religion, but like without dogma, I think, absolutely would be better. I think you could probably say objectively speaking. I'm not sure. Tracy, what do you think?
I think that to ask the question of to ask whether we can build a better society without God is like asking if the car would be better if you took the boot off of it. I mean, depends. What do you want the society? I mean, you know, we can get into the whole relativism thing if you want, but by any metric I give a damn about, then certainly, yeah, you could definitely do that. In fact, it's so obvious that I don't see what we're talking about. If you get rid of the dogmatic thinking that Eli's talking about, then we'd certainly have better outcomes. Right. But if your goal is to keep the car in one place, then no, removing the boot won't make things better. It's just how.
So, but here's the question. I mean, religion ever since the inception of the first religion, and you know, who knows if we'll truly ever find that religion, if it is, you know what I mean? But like, ever since its inception, religion has been ensnaring those, almost everyone that it touches. I mean, we're, as atheists, agnostics, and that sort of thing, we're in the minority. And we almost always have been, except for that one village that discovered had no belief in God, didn't know what it was. But hey, that was only one tribe. Did the world start out? I mean, as you know, we're apes, and we are, in fact. Then the world must have started out with no religion. So like that's a question that fascinates me. We really don't know where the first religion started and what it looked like.
It's a very
Yeah.
interesting question.
I ponder that a lot. Sorry, Tracy, go ahead.
I mean, from my understanding, our archaeologists and people in archaeology, which is what archaeologists are, their current model shows like some sort of animism where you just have like the spirits of the woods and things of that nature, where it's loosely personified, but they don't necessarily have names or intentions you can suss out beyond what the natural world is already doing. But I do agree with you though that like we don't know what it looked like. This is just our best guess. Best guess built on a lot of evidence.
How could it have been animism if number one, we are animals, and the apes that exist and the chimpanzees that exist now are not the same ones that we evolved from per se. That's my best knowledge. That's my only pretty much. I have a limited knowledge about evolution, but I did hear Guts Gibbons say that. So I got that from her. And I think she's a fantastic host. The next time you can get her on because she's like excellent funny. But like, I have nothing but good things to say about the lady. I can't remember, but you know what I mean. But at any rate, if we were apes, how could apes get animism? I mean, unless they thought they too were gods.
I don't think it would have been necessary for apes to think they're gods in order to make animism. I don't think that follows from the other thing you said.
I agree.
Animism also doesn't. I know you're hearing anim in there, but I think that has a root in more spirits rather than like animals. I know they sound very similar, but like my understanding of animism is it doesn't have so much to do with like animals specifically as much as the greater spirit that drives the animals to do the things they do, the greater spirit that drives the river to flow, the greater spirit that drives the tree to grow, the things of that nature. It's a lot more loosey-goosey, my understanding of it. And I don't have a great one. But I don't think it would have been necessary for an ape to think they were a god in order to come up with spirits. I don't know how you're getting there.
No, I was only getting there. I mean, like, I was only getting there. I don't think even apes. I don't think when we were back then, and we were our ancestors who were apes. I don't think even they probably didn't have animism like as you're explaining it. They probably didn't have like they were looking when they saw a fox from by or a bird in the sky. Like I don't think they said, "Oh, that must be a god." I don't think our brains were that developed at that point in time. I think when we started painting on cave walls, I think that's when we really may have started it.
Well, so we haven't necessarily pinned it down like what specific time we're talking about. But if I'm thinking about how an animal with agency can get to like the concept of animism, I think it pretty naturally falls. So if I try to imagine myself as like, I'm just like a primitive human that doesn't really know shit.
Right.
And I have like outdated hardware with which to figure shit out. I know that I can make choices. I believe that I can make choices. It seems as if I'm making choices.
Do you believe in free will? Maybe
I don't. Eli, don't. But I, as a primitive human, probably would. I would have. Because I mean, up until Eli, as a modern human, up until like last year, believed I had free will. So I think as a primitive human, I might have believed the same thing. And if I see a tree moving, or like it looks like the river is, I think the language, ancient language, and even modern languages, like a river or a body of water is a single thing. So they would see this water moving and think that, oh, it's making choices. It's doing what it wants to do. I don't know why it wants to do that, but that's what it wants to do, and it's doing it. And I know that I can do things that I want to do. So there must be something similar about that object, that tree, that stone that's falling, that body of water that's, flowing down the mountain, something that is allowing it to choose to do that rather than just that being the result of physics that I don't know anything about yet. And I think it just seems like a pretty natural sequence of events to kind of come to that conclusion for me when you're starting from a position of not having any idea how things actually work and not really having a method to find that out.
Right. But Tracy, back to you in animism, I did want to say I do agree with you and understand what you said about animism and everything. Like, I definitely agreed with that. So if I said something that I don't exactly remember what I said, but like I understand the disagreement, and I think I agree with you with everything you said about that. But like,
you're ahead of me then, because I don't know where we're disagreeing.
No, okay, good. I would say with you, was it you or Eli that said they're an anti-theist?
Eli, that's me.
I am an anti-theist as well. Of course, I hate my father.
Okay.
Get the joke?
I love my dad.
Okay. I was like, I'm not sure. When someone brings up something like that, I'm like, oh, is this serious? Or
I still think God. I like when I'm on. Like I still like I'm a Gnostic theist, and there's many reasons why part of me does still believe in some form of a God and that is a father figure. I have gone through the rigmarole of hating him so easily and much. Like 1 second I could be on his side and just be on all like, hey, I see I understand that you must have a great responsibility and you must be minimally powerful, not maximally powerful. There must be a reason why God, if, and I'm saying that's a big fucking if, can't get the shit done that he should get done. I'm like, then we're really not giving him half the credit he deserves because the weight of everything is on his shoulders. But if he, but at the same time, I get every now and again, I get my anti-theist and he gets barking at my conscience, and I'm just like, gee whiz, God, can't you figure something out? You created this shit. Gee whiz, you think you can get us out of it?
So I want to go back. I want to go back to something. I'm sorry, please finish. Go ahead.
What was up with the fucking seed? If you didn't want them to eat from the tree, why'd you plant the fucking seed?
Oh, my Eli and I have talked at length about that.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
It's like leaving an open bottle of bleach in your baby's pack and play. It's like, come on, man.
That's exactly what it's like. Wow, that's a really good metaphor. Yeah, I think, and it's pretty apparent. I think scholars talk about like Genesis being a poem anyway. So the idea that was never intended to be taken literal. But I want to go back to something you mentioned a little bit ago, because you have said that you are an anti-theist, I believe, unless I misunderstood you, and then said something also about still maintaining some, I don't know if you said like a pseudo belief, but I'm going to describe it that way, and you can correct me if that's not right. A pseudo belief in some sort of powerful agent, or you said minimally powerful, right? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah.
Please do.
Can you tell us more?
Minimally powerful in that he's powerful enough to at least do something, he can create a universe, but there's some kind of thing where he can't interact with it too much. But like at the same time, I've really gotten shot down a lot when I bring this argument up, because either the person I'm talking to doesn't believe, and they say, oh well, if he's got enough power to create a universe, surely he has enough power to maintain it in peace and order.
Okay. I don't know that those two things are necessarily true. And I guess there would be a few things I would point out.
I have the power to push a rock down a hill, but I don't necessarily have the power to stop that rock.
Yeah.
Right. So, but that's the same. That's the question I'm asking about God. Sometimes, I mean, I truly, in my thinking noggin, and I put my thinking cap on. I mean, we still, as good atheists, or I think agnostics and good atheists, and I won with Dan on this one. I won with objectively Dan. He agreed with me. I said, if you're being a good skeptic, will always put their thinking cap on and say, gee, the whole God question, I wonder. I don't think anyone should ever settle the God question. I don't think we should put it in a book, put it on a shelf. I've read that book. I've gone through that idea. I've thought about it enough times. It's on the shelf, and I'm never going to take it down again.
Right. That's fair. I think if we're being intellectually honest, we have to admit that we don't have a definitive answer to the God question. There's basically no evidence in one direction, and it's a pretty unconvincing claim as far as I'm concerned. And I think the three of us are pretty well in agreement there for the most part. But the intellectual honest truth is that it would be prudent to continue investigating like what those claims are, what the evidence for those claims are, and why people believe what they believe. And that's sort of what I wanted to ask you about a little bit ago with your belief that there is this at least sufficiently, if minimally powerful being. Where I get tripped up with that idea is that you posit that there is a being that is sufficiently powerful to create the universe and the world, not sufficiently powerful to control it. And there now needs to be some ancillary hypothesis to explain why it is sufficiently powerful to create it and not sufficiently powerful to control it. And that is all after the fact that this needs to be demonstrated to exist. So that's where I think you might be running into when you said people shoot that idea down a lot. I think it starts with an assumption or a presupposition and looks for ways to explain why what you would expect is not the case without really providing any reason to believe that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and hold on. I want to see Tracy. Did you want to add anything to that before I?
Well, anything I would add would only be a rewording of what Eli has said. So yeah, I'll do that if you like. If we have if there's a house next door and you just assume that there's a neighbor who likes the house to be blue, but the house is currently red, you then have to make up an excuse as to why the house is red instead of it being blue. Mm-hmm. When you could just think, well, maybe nobody who likes blue or wants their house to be blue is living in that house. I think that I agree with Eli where you're just compounding assumptions here.
Well, I'm not trying to compound assumptions, and I try not to make presuppositional arguments, not because I don't think some of them have any merit, not because I think most of them don't have any merit, and well, that is pretty much actually, I would say, is the reason I don't think most presups have the merit to garner any respect. Well, I think it is possible to find truth via a presup. But with that withstanding, I'm still agreeing with what you guys are saying, definitely. But like, if God is powerful and maybe God didn't create life, maybe all he could do or she could do was create a universe with the physical laws that would allow life to create itself. And if we created ourselves, God has no responsibility to us. And if we created ourselves, it's ourselves and us around us are our own responsibility to take care of each other. Because if God didn't create life, why the fuck does he care?
Well, I'm gonna always run away from from saying that life created itself, but I understand your meaning. You don't mean that life created itself. You mean that the properties that allow life to arise. I
put that.
I get what you mean. I get what you're saying.
Romantic, yeah. I'm a romantic. I gotta I gotta put it in the romantic vernacular.
Fair enough. But I don't know. I hate to just be the kind of guy that you were just talking about, Michelle, who's immediately shutting you down. It's just like I don't see a reason to like postulate on what this hypothetical creature might be like. That's kind of where I'm at with this, and I feel bad because you were just complaining about people doing exactly what I'm doing right now. But I'm like, I don't have an alternative.
Stop doing it, Tracy.
I don't know.
No.
I feel bad about owning an iPhone. Well, I don't own an iPhone. I feel bad about owning a Samsung, but like, I mean, it's a byproduct of the time and the age and the situations that I'm in. I mean, let me try to engage with you on this then.
Sure.
If God is sufficiently powerful to create the universe, and that's all I know about this creature, I don't have any reason to think that even if this creature were to create humans, that it would care about them. I don't have any reason to think that if this creature didn't create humans, it wouldn't have a reason to care about them. I don't have any reason to think anything about this creature other than the parameters you've already laid out. And so anything more I think about this creature would only be because you laid out a parameter and I accepted it blindly. So like,
yeah, but do you
that's
want,
where
do you
I
want
get.
something? Do you want
What's up?
something did you see that Tracy and Eli? Please answer this question, Eli. I want you to chime in on this.
Sure.
Did the both of you see the first Matrix movie with Keanu Reeves,
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson? No, that was Lawrence Fishburne. Oh, please, dear God, don't let Lawrence Fishburne see this. He gets confused.
You got it. You corrected it. You're all right.
Caught yourself. It's all right.
Yeah, you're good.
Cool, bro. But
Honest
anyway,
mistakes happen.
When Keanu when Neo went to visit the Oracle and he was about to knock over her vase and she was like, "Don't worry about the vase. I'll have some of my children clean it up later." And then he knocked it over and he's like, "Oh, sorry." He's like, "Well, I told you not to apologize about it." And she was like, "What's really gonna kick you later is would you have broken it had not said anything about it." Well, guess what? If God is as cruel as we think he might be, us enlightened atheists, like as Christians think God is a great big Care Bear in the sky, notwithstanding, I mean, he gave us slavery, he gave us the Crusades, he gave us the Holocaust. That was all that was all done in the name of religion. So, but at any rate, I mean, we could be eternally fucking screwed. I mean, or maybe at the very best, like God, like the test is to not accept the bait of religion, not to accept blindly stupid mythologies that get you nowhere, but into dogmatic, fundamentalist bullshit places.
Yeah,
I agree. I think it's pretty well established and pretty widely believed that the early gods were kind of used for a number of purposes, but one of them is just to explain the natural world. And that's where it's just an artifact from that time when we didn't know how to explain the natural world. And I think that co-opting that from that time and saying that now that we do have a lot more natural explanations for things, and like we kind of have a pretty good idea, the royal we have a pretty good idea of how the universe could have been created without some intelligent action. I think the idea of, and I'm in the same shoes as Tracy on this, because I'm not shutting this down just for like the purpose of shutting it down or because we want to be mean to you. I think that this I think that it is a presuppositional, and you mentioned that you try to avoid using those. So I would encourage you to try to see if you can recognize where this presupposition is coming in, and you just sort of go ahead.
I think you're reading me entirely wrong, because in my mind, when I'm hearing you speak, I'm listening, but then my mind goes, either this guy is totally reading me wrong, or I don't know what is up. What do you think I'm saying? What do you disagree with that you think I'm saying? What do you think the presup is, And what is the precept that you disagree with, and the conclusion that you disagree with?
Okay, yeah, thanks for clarifying. Sure. So my understanding is that I think you told me it was okay to describe it as a pseudo belief in some like deity or God. I think that is the I don't know if I would call that the presupposition or the conclusion with which I disagree, and I think that those beliefs came about in the way that I was describing a little bit ago. I don't think there's a need to repeat myself unnecessarily. So hold on, let me finish this real quick. What I'm understanding, that's okay. What I'm understanding is that and you could be totally right. I could just be misreading you, but that your belief comes from there could be this God that created it. You know, we've gotten all of these. You've said that all of these things that happened in the world, like these historical events, the Holocaust, and all these horrible things, happened because of gods, I believe, is what you said, but they really happened just because of God beliefs. And right. I think what's happening is they presupposed those gods, those events took place, and now we're saying, well, it's because of those gods that those happen. And it's not because of the God, it's because of the people, and it's because of the belief. And once we have the methods to determine, like, okay, we don't need a God to explain the creation of the universe because we have a lot of good ideas for how that happened anyway. So now that's where the hardest stick for me is on the presupposition, is because we don't necessarily need that claim to describe this. So where is it coming from? Does that make more sense?
So, yeah. I think partly I almost want to say I agree with you about perhaps it being a precept and not a good one, as usually most precepts aren't. But the second part of what you had to say about the why I'm believing the precept and leaning toward it is wrong. I would say I would reject.
Okay.
However, I wouldn't say it's a precept entirely, because it's a maybe and an if, and a big fucking if. If God exists, how do you know it's not a council of gods? How do you know it's not a council? How do you know there's not something like Damocles' sword hanging over every single one of those motherfuckers? And if they get something wrong, guess what? Boom, they get sliced in two. And so they fear their own mortality just as much as we do.
Michelle, can I chime in for a second?
Sure.
As long as I'm not interrupting something you desperately need to get off your chest. But I want to answer the same question Eli answered about, like, what presupposition do I think you're holding that I disagree with, and then what conclusion do I think you're holding that I also disagree with. A presupposition that you're holding that I would disagree with holding is that there is a God of any kind.
No, you're wrong. I don't hold that position. Ding, next. That's not my position.
You don't hold that there is a God of any kind?
Yeah, I don't necessarily believe that. I doubt it.
I don't care what you necessarily believe. I care what you do believe.
Necessarily? Well, I said I don't necessarily believe in a God. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Right now,
I understand. What time is it now? You say sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I want to know what time it is now. Is it the time you do or the time you don't?
It's 50-50. Maybe it's just 50-50.
So you neither do nor don't believe in a thing you're currently talking about?
That's correct.
Yeah,
I am the unmovable object and the unstoppable force at the same time.
All right,
so I've tried to clarify a couple times, Michelle. Sorry,
you
Tracy,
are a contradiction.
Maybe that's what I'll give as my pronoun next time I call.
I've tried to clarify a couple times whether you are holding a belief. That's what I've been referring to as a pseudo belief.
I'm not holding. I don't hold any belief. I'll hold out.
Okay.
I'll hold out. When I choose a belief, that's until I get the evidence. When I get the evidence, I'll choose a belief. I don't see any evidence for God, so I don't necessarily believe in God. I don't see any evidence for his not existing because there's been no evidence for him not existing.
You keep using that word necessarily, and I don't think it has a place in this conversation. I am a person. I do not believe in God. I don't necessarily not believe in God. I just don't believe in God. It isn't necessary that I don't believe in God. I just don't.
It might be necessary on Judgment Day. So you might want to start using that word. Because if he says, believe in me as a God.
I don't care if I might want to do something. I care if I want to do something.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well,
you keep playing with these mights and these not necessarilies, and it seems like and forgive me, Michelle. And then you made a comment about pronouns earlier, which we're gonna brush right on by it. We don't need to get into that. But like, I'm having a hard time taking you seriously at this point, Michelle.
Hold on.
Because
objectively Dan and Kelly would.
I don't care what they would do.
Yeah, they're different people.
Yeah, they're different people from me. So it is what it is. I'm having a hard time taking you seriously because you say you will choose a belief when that already seems a bit nonsensical to me. And then you say that next time you're going to make your pronouns. I asked you said that you are both an unstoppable force and an immovable object, which if you mean that in the same way at the same time, you are a contradiction. So like, what's maybe I'm just having a hard time understanding you, but like,
well, so it looks like Michelle dropped.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if she will be, if she chose to hang up and she'll be calling back, or what the case is. Here's where I was sort of getting tripped up is that I had attempted to clarify a few times throughout the call that, you know, I guess what I said is that I got the impression that Michelle was holding a belief in a God of some sort. And I think I stated that like at least 2 times, maybe 3, and was not corrected. And it's for that reason that you and I were going off of the assumption that there was a belief there of some sort. The last response I was going to say, and what I kind of wanted to try to explain is one of the last questions she asked was, if there is a God, how do you know it's not this?
Yeah.
If there is a God, I don't know anything about it.
That's what I was trying to get to.
Right. Exactly. Because as you said, Michelle, if you're still listening, there is no evidence of a God. And then you mentioned that there's no evidence of God not existing, which I would also take issue with, because in order to have evidence that a thing does not exist, I guess one way that I could think of that is to look everywhere, every when, and then determine that it is not possible, that there is nowhere and no when in which that thing exists.
It was really frustrating me because like I just wanted, like, I wanted to know, like I was under I held the impression that as a deist or whatever, they thought that there was a God of some kind, and they said, no, I don't. Okay, so then I don't understand what we're talking about. Like, then what's going on here? Are we just jumping into the hypothetical for fun? That's great. I don't think that's necessarily the goal of the show.
Yeah. And I think like the hypothetical God is not a conversation I like to entertain because it's just sort of like, well, what if I lived in a fantasy land where I had everything I wanted? Oh, well, then I would have everything I wanted. Like this, there's nothing left to explore there. I get all of the dopamine. I like all the things I do. I don't dislike any of the things. And I think if
I'd been able to go on with Michelle, I would have said, well, you hold the belief that there is a God of some kind. They immediately said no. She immediately said no. And then I was going to follow up. I was like, you hold the conclusion or the presupposition that you can intuit anything about it. And I'm like, that's another thing that I just, the first of all, the presupposition that there is a God of any kind, I can't get behind that. And then the second one, which is purely through intuition, you can figure things out about this creature.
Yeah, that's a detail. And just to be clear, Michelle, we're not trying to drag on you. We're just discussing the idea. And but that's sort of the thing that if the first part is, well, there's no evidence that this God exists, but if it does, then it must be this. And and that's where we're imposing or applying characteristics that are just kind of made up and not really grounded in anything.
Do we have any more?
We do have open lines right now.
Okay.
So give us a call. We'll talk to you about anything. We do have merch available. You can get Truth Wanted merch at visittiny.cc/merch ACA. That's a difficult series of sounds to make all in a row. We have t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, hats, etc. Another way you can support us is by sending us super chats. We got one during that call from Detroit Atheist Queen. I don't see it here in front of me right now, but I know that's who it was. Detroit Atheist Queen said, "Tracy and Eli, let's go." And we love you, of course. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the $5.
Big heart.
And if you send us a super chat, we will be obligated by our non-contracts to read it on the air as long as it's YouTube appropriate and 501c3 appropriate.
Yes.
Last but not least, I would like to thank the crew. The crew has a special place in my heart. Let's see that crew cam. We have video operators, we have audio operators, mods, note takers, we have call screeners. And this is something that gets said a lot on the show, but it is really the crew that is making this show run. We've had crew stepping in to do backup. We've had it's whatever happens here can't happen without the crew. I don't know if we don't have crew cam or if it came up and went already. Crew cam not. Here we go. Here comes the crew cam. So let's get a look at that beautiful crew.
Look at them.
We love them. We other verbs them.
When our facial hair gets long enough, we get to join them.
Our facial, it's that's why I'm not crewing tonight. I shaved.
Yeah.
So thank you, crew. Thank you, super chats. So Tracy, you mentioned something earlier. You and I land, although we have a lot of similar positions, I think, on things, we land on different spots on whether veganism is, we land on different spots on veganism.
Yeah, we do.
We definitely do.
Because for the record, no, I'm not.
From Some Kind of Dickie, friend of ours from Talk Heathen. Thank you, Some Kind of Dickie, for the $5.
Asks, is Tracy kilted tonight? And that is because our good friend Jamie gifted me a kilt, and I wore it during the Bat Cruise. No, I'm not kilted tonight. I am plaid pantsing it tonight.
A plaid pants.
Well, I'm in.
So just kilts, but later.
I'm in my tartan.
Yeah, there you go.
So there we go.
That is a tartan. Very nice. Well done.
But
is that your family tartan, or is it just?
I don't have a family tartan, sir.
Oh, you might.
It's extremely unlikely. Okay. But I may. Well, we were talking about veganism. I did bring that up earlier. Yeah. So Eli, have you recently talked to the audience about your veganism?
So I'm not a vegan necessarily. I've done some.
Eli, I don't care if you're necessarily a vegan. I care if you are or aren't a vegan.
Right. It's not necessary for me to be a vegan. And also I'm not. And I can get there through my humanism, and that's sort of the position I land on. I think that, and this, I'm not the first person to say this, I'm borrowing this. I think veganism is morally virtuous. I don't think it is morally obligatory. But I also think that if I see if I see humans as animals and no different from other animals in that regard, I don't want to be eaten or like killed to be eaten. I don't want to be cannibalized. And I think that I could assume that other living things likely don't want that either. And I think that's a pretty good justification for veganism.
I don't care whether I'm eaten or not. I care whether I'm killed. If after I die, and this is an open invitation, if after I die, any of y'all are hungry, and this is on the internet, I consent. Chow down. Leave.
Oh my goodness.
Let me think if there's a part of me I want you to leave. Thinking of all my favorite parts of myself. Nope.
Careful.
You can eat them all. You can eat them all.
Okay.
I don't care. I'm not there anymore. It's like once you move out of your house and you're not using it anymore, do you care if it burns down? I mean, to a certain extent, but like, I'm not going to be
still alive to care.
That's because I know it's there and I know it's happening. There wouldn't be a me to be there and care. I truly don't care if I'm eaten. I don't care what is done with my body. I do care whether or not I'm killed. However, I don't expect the other animals to not kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a point I've made too. I was talking to someone on TikTok about it one time, just about being vegan. And I'm like, well, humans aren't the only animals that eat other animals. And she said, well, but are we the only ones that but are we capable of recognizing that it's not a super nice thing to do? And I think, yes, it seems that way. So I feel like I recognize that. And you don't feel like,
I don't think eating a creature is a nice or a not nice thing.
Amoral.
I think it's an amoral action. I can't hurt a corpse.
So then it is relevant that in
if I'm
many
eating
cases,
it while it's alive, yes, that's mean.
Well, no, but that's not what I mean. It's relevant in many cases, especially in the case of hunting, that it is now no longer alive for the purpose of you eating it. So it's not necessarily that you eating it is bad. It is that you caused its death because you wanted to.
Not necessarily, but in most cases.
Well, I don't care if it's necessary.
We're not talking about a specific situation. We're now talking about a hypothetical.
That's fair.
When we're talking about hypotheticals, you can bust out the not necessarily all you want. When we're talking about potential, but when we're talking about you and your position, I don't want the necessary hypothetical. I want the what it is.
No, that's fair.
But I'm ways to human. I've been reading your stuff over here in chat. Thanks for saying things. So I'd like to respond to a little bit of it. It said fair, but if it can be avoided, you'd avoid killing other humans. Right. If it can be avoided, you'd avoid killing other humans. Right. I don't know. I truly don't know. So far, I haven't been put in a position where that's something I want or
it's never been a factor.
It's never been a factor in my life. So I don't know. I truly have zero idea what I would do in a situation where if it can be avoided, I'm like, okay, well, what do you mean by if it can? Okay, I'll lose my arm, but I won't have to kill that guy. I mean, I do that and whatever. Sorry, YouTube, but it's been plenty of time. We can talk about more adult topics.
I think outside the first 3 minutes, whatever.
So the thing that I get to about veganism in general is a lot of my morality stems from my empathy. And I do have empathy for other humans. And they can make their wishes clear to me. I have some empathy for for non-human animals. Ultimately, though, that my empathy for humans will not stop me from killing and eating a human if I'm sufficiently hungry. My empathy for animals doesn't stop me from killing and eating them when I'm not even that hungry.
Yeah, just hungry enough, which is sufficiently hungry. And I think
just knowing I'll be hungry in
this.
the future,
I want to clarify this. for your and the audience's sake, because I understand this inherently about you, but I'm not sure that everyone else does. You don't mean like in your modern life as it exists right now that what you said about like killing and eating humans, like what was it you said? It wouldn't stop you, or your empathy.
If I'm sufficiently hungry, like my
and
empathy
there
wouldn't
are
stop
no
me.
other options.
And there are no other options.
Is that relevant?
There will never be a situation where there are no other options. I can always eat my own arm.
Okay. That's fair.
I can also just die.
Right. I think we can, but here's what I'm trying to get at. Is you're saying that like what it sounds like, this isn't the word you use, but what it sounds like, someone could take that and interpret it as there's nothing morally wrong with eating humans if I'm hungry enough. And I think that just requires some qualifiers.
I think, here's it does require some qualifiers. Let me dig into it then.
Yeah.
If I'm sufficiently hungry and I have no other less intensive
non-human options.
No. Whether or not it's a human, I'm trying to find the factors that aren't just it's a human.
Okay.
And it's like, well, if it's easier. Because like if I have to journey to Africa to get a hamburger.
Yeah, that's resource inefficient. There's no but I think
there's a ratio of efficiency to the act that would get it. But like
cost benefit
analysis. Then I've just been talking about whether or not I would eat a human. That's all I've been examining. But my previous statement was kill and eat a human. So, like, to get to the point where I would kill and eat a human, it'd be very like there would have to be extenuating circumstances, like I think you're trying to get to.
That's what I was trying to get to.
There would have to be a scarcity of other foods. There would have to be like, really, that's about it. There'd have to be a scarcity of other foods.
Right. But you would say that as you like your life as it exists right now today.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to go out and hunt my neighbor.
Exactly. Eating a human would never be a thing that you would need to do.
No, it's far easier for me to just go get other food.
Exactly. And so as Waste to Human pointed out, that's AJ, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that was AJ. Hi, AJ.
Yeah. Hi, AJ. There are almost always non-animal alternatives. So like, for example, I've tried recently the Impossible ground beef. And it was like, okay, it's a different texture. That's the best one that I've tried. I like the Impossible Whopper as much as I like any Whoppers, which is not that much. But I think so. So to her point, there is always not always, not for every person in every circumstance, but I think for you, knowing you as I do, you would typically have a non-animal option. But I think where vegans and non-vegans sort of, I think the biggest like distinction is what we consider our group to be, like
I agree.
Our same group. So like for me, I can easily get to a point where I say all animals because I am an animal, or like all mammals. I could say all mammals are part of my group because I'm a mammal, or I could just stop at humans, or like all humans and like my dog, as you I think often remind me.
All humans and my dog, like
all humans and most dogs, like. But I think it typically does come down to what part, like how big your group is. Where do you stop? You're like, this is my in group, and I can stop it at humans, or I can stop it at animals.
I don't think there's a whole bunch of different theoretical in groups that we could have, and so I don't see. I have a hard time with this concept, Eli, because I don't see, say, the Westboro Baptist Church as part of my in group. They are, however, humans. and so like we're getting into like the splitting of straws of and I can't help but do that sometimes, where it's just like I don't know, man. Part of my in-group? No. The Westboro Baptist Church is not part of my in-group. No. The Klan is not part of my in-group. Like, I'm not gonna say all humans, because there are some humans that like I don't care what happens to them.
That's a good point. Honestly, anymore, yeah.
And so, like I think I've told you before, in my moral system, I feel as though I've already given a I've already given a lot of ground. I've already given up a lot. I've already said, you know, what the, oh, later. I've already, just without significant justification, given leeway to so many people. I don't do crimes against people that I'd like to do crimes against. Because of my moral system, not because of the law, but because of my moral system that I've created. And I feel like I've already given up so much. You want me to give up more? And I don't. And I'm like, I'm unwilling to give up more without some justifications. And those justifications have to be satisfying to me for me to adopt them. And the whole and also we get into this whole thing that I've talked to you about before, where I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck a horse feels. I'm willing to grant that they don't like pain.
I'll assume that.
I'm not really I'm willing to grant that. And I'm willing to like not give them more of a thing they don't like than other thing. But I don't know if they have a concept of what death is.
Yeah, I don't know if other animals know that they will eventually stop being alive. Maybe Laser knows. I wonder if our backup host has that specific answer. No,
Laser, tell me about all the ways I'm wrong.
I want to know what you think about this
Laser,
in general.
tell me every way I'm wrong, please.
No, I mean, I honestly, most of the conversation I've been tracking with, I guess I'll come out like hard on the stance of like, I'm not planning on eating any humans, like almost no matter how bad it gets. Like,
really?
It would have stuff is hitting the fan, I guess is what I'm saying.
So let me ask you, if you were really, 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 really hungry and I brought you some liver with fava beans and a nice Chianti, like how long will you resist?
That's a really good question. Here's the thing. You may not know this about me, and I know this is going to sound like a bit of a side topic, but I'm a very picky eater. And so I might actually like, man, I sat at the dinner table for so long just not eating the mashed potatoes. It was like a day and a half. So like my parents tried it, like, no, I guess maybe after days and days, maybe. But my point is that's when stuff's hitting the fan, right? Like, so maybe it's going to sound weird, but like, I guess I have a weird, like, hierarchical rule system here. Like anything that I think is kind of conscious or approaching conscious, I really feel uncomfortable about eating. Not that like elephant is normally offered up to eat, but like, man, ain't no way I'd feel super comfortable about eating an elephant, right? Because we know how smart they are and how intelligent they are. I think dolphins have a similar argument about them as well. So like, I apply this. I don't eat octopus either, but again, that's more about the picky food.
Calamari is squid.
I know. I don't eat it.
I was correcting Eli, not you, Laser.
Okay. Either way, like, I don't know. It's probably more of a picky eater thing than anything. I guess one thing that I've always been curious about is like why vegans that I've interacted with are so confident that, like, for instance, animals have feelings or fear or pain and sensations of pain, but like plants obviously don't. Like they're so sure about how moral it is to eat as many plants as you want, but like they're alive, right? So like, I'm not saying that like plants have feelings, but like I am saying that like we're all drawing arbitrary lines when we come to this.
Well, I think there's some I don't know if epistemological concrete for that, because we know what like biological systems in our bodies allow us to experience pain and understand what it is and like react to it and things like that.
Have you ever had a conversation with a plant though?
Well, so here's what I'm saying. We can, like not me, but it is like we have determined what those are and we can recognize them in other animals. They may exist in plants. We just don't recognize them if they do, because the same structures and the same patterns aren't there. And I think that's probably where most people do it. Because I've thought about the same thing. I've seen some things that say like, yeah, like, you know, trees give off this particular chemical when they are like, when they experience a physical damage or physical trauma or something. So that it very well could be the case. We just don't recognize it.
Exactly. It could be a different mechanism, right? Just because they don't have a nervous system doesn't mean that they don't have negative feedback loops, right? And like, at the end of the day, that's kind of what pain is. It's a negative feedback loop encouraging you to avoid that situation. Sorry, what were you about to say, Tracy?
There is an essay by okay, hang on. I'm about to say a name. I'm not going to say a name. I'm just going to say the name of the essay because it doesn't matter who wrote it. It matters what the essay is. It's called "What Is It Like to Be a Bat?" And Eli's probably getting tired of me bringing up this essay because I bring it up all the time. And it argues that subjective experience is inherently personal and cannot be fully explained by objective physical science. Yeah. And that's just subjective experience, which is what they define as consciousness in the essay, the book, whatever. Yeah. And that's ultimately where I fall back on constantly. Is it's just like, I don't know what it's like to be a bat. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Even if you turn me into a bat and you turn me back, I still don't know what it's like to be a bat. I know what it's like to be a person who was formerly a bat.
So in the spirit of truth, Juan, can I actually like just spin on that topic a little bit?
Spin it like a top.
In the non-spirit of truth.
There's this sci-fi book that I really, really love called Animism. It's by Neil Stephenson. And it's very, very long. Get into it if you can. But it talks about a lot of philosophy. And one of the thought experiments that it's like the society is split between science-minded folks and like reasoning folks and people that just don't care about anything else, anything like that. And the whole of society is basically split between the two. On the science-minded side of things, and it's been split this way for like thousands of years. So on the science-minded side of things, there's this thought experiment called fly, bat, worm. So like imagine there's a cave full of flies, bats, and worms, full of traps, right? Okay. The flies, the bats, the worms, they don't want to get into the traps because they'll die, right? So like ideally they want to find a way to communicate to each other like what a trap is. So like how would the worm communicate to the bat? Because the worm can't see, right? All it is it can feel, and the bat can't see really. It can only hear and make echolocation, right? Okay. And the fly can only see. It can't really hear or do it. It's like they're all limited to one sensory perception, right? Is the thought experiment. And what it ends up boiling down to at the end of the day, at the end of the chapter rather, is that what would a worm do to communicate to a bat that there's a trap right here, and the worm would like squirm around and try to make shapes because that's all a worm can do. Right? Like it can move its body around, it can feel stuff. And the bats might look down on the worm and they'd be like, worm seems to be doing something, but I've never been a fucking worm. So I have no idea what he's trying to communicate to me. And I think that's actually a pretty good analogy that like just builds upon the exact thought that you were just talking about there. So I wanted to bring that up.
It's a great analogy. There we go. That's the word. The word you used is a great one. I was trying to think of another one and I couldn't. But it's a great analogy. And this is what, and our friend AJ, she's talking in the thing. She says that well, if Well, I could say I don't know what it's like to be Tracy, but if Tracy couldn't speak and tell me, I could observe him and study him to understand him better. You're assuming that you could do that.
Right, you're assuming a shared understanding at some point, like a
Yeah,
shared
that's
semantic understanding. And if you don't share that, then you can't actually relate to.
And
other
I'm not
people.
even saying you're wrong for assuming that. I'm just saying that that is an assumption, and it's not an assumption that it's an assumption I am willing to make because I can't. I have become convinced I won't be able to survive in society unless I make that assumption about other humans. I can survive in my society without making that assumption about any other animal.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I mean that's kind of the root of my hard line against the human eating, to be honest, Tracy.
As far as I'm concerned, so this is the deal. I don't really have a problem. I have a problem with cannibalism on like a societal metric because I have become convinced through my years that people would find the idea of them being eaten after they pass to be disturbing, which would impact their quality of life while they are here and alive.
Sure.
And so I'm against it for those reasons. But like in a breakdown of society situation, I'm not trying to preserve society anymore. I'm trying to preserve me.
Yeah, I sort of land there too. That consuming, like it's just a transference of energy, and like all things in the universe need energy, and animals are no exception. We get our energy by chewing it up and swallowing it, and some of that energy comes from the other animals that have also eaten energy and are now like using that. So yeah, it's absolutely just like a continuation of transference of energy. And where I kind of distinguish from it, because I really enjoy looking at humans as like just another animal, and like not, it's a sort of a fun thing for me to like think about human behavior the same way I think about other animals that like I don't understand what it's like to be them. So I'm trying to figure out their behavior. But with humans, because we have these new rules and this sort of capacity to recognize that like it's not always like not everybody is in a life or death like survival scenario. We don't need to eat other humans. Mm-hmm. There are, I guess I don't know for sure, but there are like historical examples of cannibalistic societies that just, I would imagine those came to rise because of like their just need to have food sometimes, and like, oh well, that person died and we don't have any food, so here it is, or like that's the smallest person and we don't have any food or whatever. But I think now that we've at a point where like, okay, we don't need to eat other humans anymore to survive, we now have circumstances where we don't need to eat other animals in order to survive anymore. The only difference is that we just don't see, like, eating other animals isn't as taboo as it is to eat humans. And it's just because we place that extra importance on humans.
And I want to be clear about what I meant with flybat worm when I referred to that theoretical discussion. I think it actually points to the reason why we feel differently about humans. It's not that I'm setting humans aside because we're special. It's that we're not flybats worms that can't communicate to each other. I can be like, Eli, don't eat my arm. And you'll be like, oh crap, now I know Daniel doesn't want me to eat his arm, right? Like it's pretty clear. So we actually have this ability to relate semantically. We could make the assumption that no other being wants to be eaten. I think that's probably a pretty safe assumption. But as you pointed out, that just spells the end of all life that doesn't originate from like things like photosynthesis. Right, like things that don't come out of existence from raw energy of the universe would now be the only things that get to live. Anything that has to eat anything else would seem to be disqualified, and that doesn't seem great.
Well, no, but I think that's a sort of like some animals just aren't equipped to eat or digest plants, and in that case, they do need to eat other animals.
Eli,
that's a necessity.
Like, wouldn't the logical argument be that those animals shouldn't exist because they have to eat other animals?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Maybe I misunderstood the topic, but like I guess I've heard a lot of claims along those lines of like it's just wrong to eat anything else that can feel pain or things like that. And I feel like that inevitably leads
steaks
you to
can't feel pain.
sure, but the cow could, right?
Yeah,
like
and I'm
we
not-
talked about this earlier.
And well, that's just ultimately where I'm getting down to. It's like I'm not eating a cow.
But
Most of the time, I'm eating a heifer or a steer.
Sure.
But I'm not even eating a heifer or a steer. I'm eating the remains of a heifer or a steer.
Agreed.
But Eli, if I could just call back to what you were saying, I'd like to draw a distinction between not doing because I don't have to and in the future doing because I have to. I'm not eating humans because I don't have to. I'm not eating humans to preserve our society. I will eat humans because I have to, but not like that. That's the whole thing about like, well, you're not eating humans because you don't have to. No, I'm not eating humans to preserve society.
You
mere
contradicted a little bit there.
Where?
I think.
Tell me the P and not P.
Unless I am just misremembering what you said. You started with the reason I'm not eating humans isn't because I don't have to. It's to preserve society.
Mm-hmm.
Oh hell! And then you said something right after that. Can you remind me what you said, please?
I said that I will eat humans if I have to.
If you have to, okay. Okay, so no, it's not a contradiction. I guess I would just need more clarity. You will if you have to.
I'm just trying to draw this distinction between will if I have to and not because I don't have to.
Yeah, I think
it is
that's
merely
fair.
coincidence that I don't have to and I'm not.
So you don't want to?
I don't want to.
Okay.
It's merely coincidence that I don't have to and I'm not.
I think you were pretty clear about that in my brain. Just let me not understand it for some reason. And that is basically Laser. That's why I don't think that animals that need to eat other animals shouldn't exist, because like they just exist. And I think to be like,
I wasn't making that argument either, just be clear.
No, but I think you asked me if that's what I meant, right? Or
I'd suppose that like I'd heard people make claims almost along those lines, right? Like, and that would leave us with a universe of only rocks and plants, right? And that's a fairly boring universe to me.
I agree. I think I mean, like eating animals could be done only out of necessity, and that applies to non-human animals as well. Like there are non-human animals for which it is a necessity, so like they can't just not. But there are animals that don't need to, and it could be done without.
And we've been on the topic for a while, but like I just do want to throw out, we've never touched on it, but lab-grown meat. Someone give me a lab-grown meat burger. I'll eat that all day, every day. Like, I don't want to kill a cow to eat a burger. Like, no, I don't want to be associated with having a cow killed so I can have part of a cow if I'm to steal Man Tracy's position, right? Like, I don't want any association with any of that nonsense.
And they normally wouldn't kill a cow. They would, in order to give you a steak. Ordinarily, they would kill a steer or a heifer.
My apologies for the terminology.
It's okay. It's okay. It's just it's one of my pet's peeve that that people refer to all bovines as cows. They're not.
That's true.
Cows are only female bovines who have given birth. Okay. And that's it. It's one of my pet's peeve, and it's all I can do.
Excellent.
Well, at least you have multiple. You have both heifers and the others to refer to have multiple pets peeves.
Multiple pets peeve. I got a heifer. I got a steer. I got a bull. I got an ox. I got a.
Every single one of them has a peeve.
Whenever I start talking about gender with people, I'm like, okay, do you know the difference between a heifer, a steer, a bull, an ox? You know all these differences. They're basically the different genders of cattle.
Oh, I mean, we hit veganism. Should we really get into it?
Oh, no. We're like 6 minutes out.
And actually, with that being the case, I think we've pretty well hammered this to death. Now we can harvest its meat and eat it. And
You're right, John the Human. Ox is not a cow. Ox is a name given to a male bovine who has a job. There are also species of bovine that are called oxen. That's not what I'm talking about here. You're conflating.
I love this so much. Can we get Tracy to just talk about like the terminology of cattle, bovines for the next, I don't know, 3 minutes? That's not it.
That's about the end of it. That's about the end of it. But like, I just saw that. I saw John the Human say ox is not a cow, and I'm like, yeah, that's the fucking point I've been making this whole time.
I think he was co-signing you.
No, he was saying it's a different species. And I'm like, you're correct that ox is used to refer to a different species of cattle. However, there is also a term ox for a male bovine who has a job whose job is not solely siring new cows.
Okay,
there we
I
go.
missed some context.
New cattle. I just did the thing I hate people for doing. I'm gonna go whip myself for a while
Before
for
you
doing
do
that. Oh yeah.
The words of, well, let's say this first. Laser, can you remind our audience what next week's prompt is for the question for We Want the Truth segment?
Yeah, as soon as I switch back to the window and have it up, absolutely, I can do that. Yeah, so next week's prompt is, what is the worst lie that you were caught in? And community, I can't wait to hear your answers. This is going to be just comedy goldmine. So can't wait to hear them. Thank you so much.
You can always get to my heart if you're doing a bit. I live and die by the bit. Put your comments or your answers in the comments section, not in the live chat. I mean, I would have loved to read it, but I won't be anymore because we're done here now. And Tracy, I would like to ask you for words of wisdom. Do you have anything you would like to leave our audience with as we part?
Yeah. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
I think we're not allowed to use that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Are we allowed to use my tattoo?
Because it's lyrics. Thank you, everybody. That's
Everything's
our show.
lyrics.
It's been very much fun to be here. Tune in next week. Never stop wanting the truth.
That's lyrics.
Watch the non-profits and join the hosts in the live chat. Visit tiny.cc/ytnp.